Okay, one of the things we're going to be doing today is completing the process of our collective class altar. When you put the image on the altar, you are remembering somebody who is very important either to you or to your family.
MacArthur Award-winning artist Amalia Mesa Bains is here at Cal State Monterey Bay, teaching a class on the Day of the Dead traditions.
In memory of Raimundo Castro, my grandfather.
In memory of my Uncle Joe.
This flower is thought to be a smell that brings the spirits. Sometimes people take the cempasúchil and they will rub it between their fingers and sprinkle it because it releases the olor, the smell.
Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, takes place on November 1st and 2nd. With its origins in an ancient Aztec holiday, it's a time when people gather to commemorate loved ones who've died. The construction of temporary altars, or ofrendas, is central to the tradition.
There is always a candle to light the way. There's always water or other beverages for the souls who are thirsty to quench their thirst. And there are various other breads, special pan de muerto, and these are all arranged in offerings for the dead. The central quality of Day of the Dead is the act of remembrance. It is a reenactment of the most cherished memories and love that you felt. And now we get the part that's the best part of Day of the Dead, which is the enjoyment. So we're going to go find some music. So it is joyful and celebratory, but it also has an element of real deep remembrance.
Today I chose to honor my grandfather and my grandmother. They worked so hard their whole entire life. I put a little wooden sculpture to represent my grandfather because he was a carpenter. You know, it has not been a tradition that we've carried on in my family, but it's recently become one of my favorite celebrations.
What I've discovered is that it's not a given that because a young student has a Mexican heritage that they will have actually learned this tradition. They know about it, they've heard about it, but in the process of immigration, they've set it aside.
Many of Mesa Bains' students hail from the agricultural communities in the area. Currently, Latinos, many of whom are immigrants, make up more than half the population of Monterey County.
I grew up in Salinas, California. My parents were both from Mexico. A couple of weeks ago, I asked my mother if I could set up an altar. At first, she wasn't too sure because of the fact that she said it would bring back painful memories, but I talked her into at least letting me light up a candle with my family members' pictures.
Growing up, the Day of the Dead or Dia de los Muertos wasn't really so prominent in my life. My family, half of them are Christian, and the Christian family was always very hesitant to celebrate the dead.
I think there is some feeling in more conservative parts of the community that the celebration of death is somehow not normal. It's mourning the dead, yes, but celebrating, no. In other words, you would be hard-pressed to bring any elements of Day of the Dead into a Catholic church.
In the mid-1970s, Mesa Bains began to make fine art installations inspired by the altar-making tradition. Many of the pieces pay tribute to feminist icons of Mexican descent. Her work has been acquired by the Williams College Museum of Art and the Smithsonian and garnered her a MacArthur Grant in 1992.
I was most concerned with the role of women. And I have found that as I've moved through what I would say is a sort of personal story, it has turned out to be the story of many women of my generation, many Chicanas and Latinas, who began to think about issues of beauty and acceptability in the larger society.
At home in San Juan Bautista, Mesa Bains tends a home altar, a personal collection of photographs and mementos.
The home altar is the permanent ongoing record of the family's daily life and the major life events of the family. This is distinct and different from an ofrenda, which is an offering only for the days of the dead. My grandmother liked a good drink, so every once in a while we slip her a little vodka. I see that in my students when they begin to research the individual they're putting in the class ofrenda. They begin to have a different sense of who that person really was. In that home altar are the stories of what it is to be a Mexican in this country, what it is to be an immigrant in this country. And they are acts of resistance and resiliency, and they afford the family a collective sense of pride.
Cal State University at Monterey Bay holds its annual Day of the Dead celebration on November the 2nd. It is open to the public.